How's it going, fellas, and welcome to the channel where I kick back, relax, and talk NBA 2K22. And today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to beat the Suns in NBA 2K22's My Career. Everything that you need to know to beat the Suns, and hopefully these tips and tricks can help you destroy the Suns in the My Career and have you winning by 40 points. So if you love that sort of stuff, of tips, tricks, and everything in between, don't forget to leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and comment down below which team you'd like to see next. I do have the Lakers in the back burner, but any other teams, throw it in the comments below. But anyway, guys, I've talked and raved long enough. Let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is just a few thoughts and opinions when it comes to the Suns. They are one of the hardest teams to break down, fellas, having a really good defensive point guard and a dominating big and a scorer who can score whenever he wants, pretty much at will. This team can be really hard to score against and even harder to defend. You've really got to rely on your shooters to keep you in the game, and that can be rough at times, fellas. When you have to rely on the AI to make shots, can be a problem. So the next thing I want to talk about is players to target. There's two players that you want to target when it comes to the Suns, and the first one is Devin Booker. He is the weak link defensively, fellas, on the Suns team. He's like James Harden in the last video. You want to set screens against him as much as possible, so you want to tap L1, then hold circle. But the difference is Chris Paul has pick dodger on goal, so you want to keep running towards the basket. If Chris Paul goes over the screen, keep running. If he goes under the screen, pull up and shoot. But the biggest thing is, as I said, he has pick dodger on gold, fellas. So if you do drive to the basket a lot more, you got to watch out for the big of the Suns, because he does have a lot of defensive badges. So if you do see a sneaky pass to your big man on the cut, look for that option as well. But always look for rotating players when driving to the basket, because that's your only way to get open against this defense, because it is a very hard defense to crack. It really is, fellas. So using the pick and roll against Devin Booker is a must. It's something that you've just got to do over and over and over again. And the next thing I want to talk about when it comes to players to target is Cameron Johnson is a stretch big. He doesn't have the best defense, fellas, with low speed and low lateral quickness. So if you aren't really exposing with Devin Booker on the pick and roll, try it with this guy. He will be triangle most of the time, so you just hold or tap L1 like I said before and hold triangle instead of circle. It will work really well, and even throw in a pick and fade as well, fellas, because he won't be fast enough to come back. So if Chris Paul commits to you when they should have switched, it's a wide open free for your big man 99% of the time, because Cameron Johnson just won't be fast enough to get to that player. His defense is so bad, fellas, and if your player cuts to the basket, it's an easy drive to the basket. So what you want to do is tap the L1, hold triangle to bring him over, and just stand there. And then all of a sudden your big will cut to the basket, and Cameron Johnson is just simply too slow to keep up. And unless they make a drastic switch, which can be exposed, it's a bucket every single time. So the next thing I want to talk about is players to watch on defense. Chris Paul's pull-up mid-range is so deadly on higher difficulties, fellas, and it has to be stopped if you are any chance of winning against the Suns. His mid-range is deadly, but his threes aren't. You can't give up that little bit of space when he's on the 3-point line, because if you do, he'll just run in front of you, pull up, and it's a bucket nearly every single time. He will pull up in your face and hit a lot of mid-ranges, fellas, so you need to jump and get the biggest contest possible. He can even still hit 37% contested shots consistently, so a hands up just isn't enough, and relying on Intimidator just won't cut it. So the next thing I want to talk about is rebounding against DeAndre Ayton. If you are a guard, you need to have a good big, otherwise it's going to be an uphill battle that you're never going to win. I'm playing with the Pistons with Kelly Olynyk, and I'm struggling, fellas. I really am struggling just to get a couple of rebounds, so I've given up on the rebound battle, because it's something you're never going to win. But if you are a center, your main focus has to be boxing out Ayton. Just always be in between him and the basket at all times. So when a shot goes up, if you're holding L2, you'll automatically go in box out position, and it'll be an easy box out. I hold L2 pretty much all the time. Unless I have to fully turbo to catch up to a player, I'm holding L2 24 seconds of the 24-second shot clock. I hold it all the time. So if a shot does go up, I'm automatically in the box out position. And if I'm in between Ayton and the basket, I'll be stopping him every every single time, fellas. If you are still struggling with rebounds, fellas, and haven't seen my video of how to rebound, check it out on the channel. It really does help out rebounding for bigs if you are struggling. And if you are struggling against the Suns, you might be struggling against a few other teams too. So the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to defense is all players have low finishing badges on this Suns lineup. So force them to drive, fellas. Force them to drive to the basket if you can. You can also change the tactics. Change it to no threes or a 2-3 zone, which will force players to drive. Unless they're playing a 5-out, which I've never seen the AI do, you should be fine stopping this with a zone defense and force them to drive as much as possible. If you've never played a 2-3 zone before, I can make a video about it, so leave it in the comments below. But to be honest, fellas, it's not that difficult, and a 2-3 zone will force them to drive, and they'll be driving straight into your big man, who will get a contest. And with the low finishing badges that they've got, it's an easy stop over and over and over again. So the last thing I want to talk about is just a few little things, and Devin Booker's hot spots are in the corners, fellas. So if he is in the corner and open, you need to try and get over there as fast as possible. But if you are playing on lower difficulties and he isn't having the greatest of games, you can leave him open at the left hash and even at the right hash, because he is cold at the left and neutral at the right. And I'm pretty sure he's even neutral at the top of the key too, fellas. So if he is open at the top of the key, don't leave him wide open, but if you can get a small contest and only make him open or a small contest, he will miss a lot of the times because he doesn't have hotspots. Hotspots will make them hit a lot more contested shots, and if they are wide open, it is a way higher chance of going in if they are wide open. But simply getting a open contest instead of a wide open contest is a huge difference. So the next thing I want to talk about is the Suns bench is weak, fellas. So when Chris Paul is off and Ayton is off, you really need to expose them as fast as possible. Score as many points when you're going up against Cameron Payne, because he is a hell of a lot easier to get past with pick and rolls and just dribble moves in general than what Chris Paul is. And the last thing I did notice is Ayton only has a 49 perimeter defense, fellas, and a 61 lateral quickness. So you probably could expose him. As long as you're not going for flashy dunks, you probably could expose him in the pick and roll. So what you want to do so you don't get any flashy dunks is just simply hold the right stick up to do a basic dunk. And it's harder for the big man to be blocking it from behind. So it gives you a better chance to dunk on Ayton, or not on him, but when he's around you in general, if you just simply hold the right stick up while holding turbo, driving to the basket. It's as simple as that, fellas. So the last thing I want to talk about is just a few final thoughts, and the Suns are a team that is capable of beating me on harder difficulty, fellas. They really are. They can be one of those teams that are really hard to crack, but using these tips and tricks will work. Trust me. Attack Devin Booker. Attack the power forward. I can't remember his name, fellas. Cameron Johnson. Attack Cameron Johnson. Yes, Devin Booker is an offensive superstar, but he only has one defensive badge, so you need to exploit it. And that one defensive badge is only chase down artist on bronze. So attack, 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 fellas. Trust me, you will score more times than he stops you. But anyway, guys, I've talked and raved long enough. If you do like these rant, raves, tips, tricks, whatever you want to call them, don't forget to leave a like and comment down below the next team that you'd like to see me do in this series. I will be doing the Lakers next, but any team after that is up for grabs. And if you do want to see me do this live, come over to the Twitch stream, Aussie Fez with 2 Z's. I really would appreciate it. But anyway, guys, I've talked and raved long enough. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch us later. I'm out.